News First. The truth as it is.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to your weekend edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Zenat Musafa, joined by our news interpreter for tonight, Taraka Gabriel. Let's first take a look at your headlines for tonight.
President says that arrangements will be made to bring down a COVID-19 vaccine immediately.
මම ඉන්දියාවේ අගමැතිතුමාට පුද්ගලිකවම ලිපියක් ලිව්වා. චීනයේ ජනාධිපතිතුමාට පුද්ගලිකවම ලිපියක් ලිව්වා. සූදානම් වෙච්ච විගසම අපිට මේ එන්නට ලබා දෙන්නට කියලා.
Ukraine comes under lockdown. The subject minister will decide on bringing down tourists, says State Minister Lanka Godaheva. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga's response.
කවදේ ලොක්ඩවුන් කරලා නැහැ. ඔය කවුද සමාජ ලොක්ඩවුන් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ට බෑ පාසල් වහලා තියෙනවා. රැස්වීම් තියන්න බෑ. ඒ වගේ ප්‍රධාන කාරණාවක්. ඒක මූලික ලොක්ඩවුන් එකකට යන්නේ නැහැ.
Anti-COVID-19 tonic to undergo clinical tests.
මෙහි ගුණාගුණ පිළිබඳව අපිට ඒ කරන නිර්දේශය මත අපි රටට අනාවරණය කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු.
US Judicial Department charges 3 Sri Lankan citizens with terrorism offences related to the 2019 April 21st attacks. Bandigidi residents protest against the construction of a tavern instead of an elephant fence. Twitter permanently suspends Donald Trump's account.
On to your top story tonight, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has said Sri Lanka will expedite the process of bringing down a COVID-19 vaccine. The President made these remarks during the launch of the 5th phase of the Dialogue with the Village program today.
We have requested the World Health Organization and countries like India, China and Russia to provide us with the vaccine. I have written to the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President to provide us with the vaccine at the earliest. Therefore, we will receive a certain quota of vaccines free of charge from the World Health Organization, China and India. We will purchase the remaining vaccines that are required. That is not an issue. We have taken the relevant steps to ensure that the vaccine is offered to priority groups.
The President made these remarks during an event held to launch the 5th phase of the Dialogue with the Village program at the Lahugala Primary School in Ampara. Politicians and state officials were present at the event. Residents put forward their grievances to the President during his visit to the area.
ඔබතුමා ආපු එක දෙයියෝ වැඩියා වගේ තමයි අපව බලන්නේ. ගමට කරන්ට් එක නැහැ. වන ජීවේ මහත්තුරු තමයි කිසි දෙයක් දෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැත්තේ. එයාලා තමයි අපට කියනවා ඔයාලා දේවල් ටිකක් අරගෙන ඔයාලා ඕනේ දිහකට යන්නලු.
Long-standing problems of Uhana residents who were once battered by the war were put forward to the President during the occasion.
අපි රෙන්වලා කරපු ඉඩම් ටික පොරොත්තුෙන් ගත්තා.
නෑ ඒක අපි විසඳුවන්නේ. දැන් ඒව දෙනවා. ওই ප්‍රශ්නේ හැමතැනම තියෙනවා. ඒකට වනජීවී වනරක්ෂණ ඉඩම් පුරා විද්‍යාව මේ ඔක්කොම ගෙනල්ලා දැන් අපි කිව්වා ඒවයි ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඉඩ දෙන්න කියලා. වැව සුද්ධ කරන්න. ඔය කතාවාරි මාර්ගනා වැව සුද්ධ කරන්න ක්‍රමයක් දුන්නා. වාරි මාර්ගේ කිව්වසේ සල්ලි නැහැ කියලා කරන්නේ. නෑ මේ පාර බලන්න. අය කිව්වා.
The President pledged to provide swift solutions to the problems faced by the people in the land, highways, agriculture, livestock and education sectors. During his visit, the President stressed that he will not hesitate to meet the aspirations of the people.
ඔබ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ ඒ හැම දා තිබුණු ක්‍රමයට වඩා වෙනස් ක්‍රමයක්. ස්වාමින් වහන්සේලා මගෙන් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මේ දාට තිබුණු වඩා වෙනස් ක්‍රමවේදයකට. ඒකින්ද තමයි
I hope to introduce a new system of administration. The Buddhist monks are expecting me to introduce a new mechanism. That is why I did not commit acts of political revenge once I was elected to power. If a person breaks the law, then the relevant units will take action against him. But I will not exert influence under my administration. The opposition has not understood this. You might have have seen how lawmaker Harin Fernando had spoken in Parliament. That is not what we expect. I am Nandasena Gotabaya. That is a good name, but Nandasena Gotabaya has two characters. Some Buddhist monks say that they expect me to display the character I showed when I was Defence Secretary more than the President. They say that I must be strict. I can do that. I am capable of doing it. Prabhakaran attempted to assassinate me at the Pittala Junction, but I ended the war by seeing that his corpse was carried across the Nandikadal lagoon. If necessary, I can rule in that manner. Therefore, I am ready to embrace any character. But I need to work for the people.
ඒ જાතියෙන් එනවා මට ඒ જાතියෙන් කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. දැක්කනේ මට අර බෝම්බයක් ගහලා ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් මැටියට පිත්තල හන්දියේ බෝම්බයක් දාලා ප්‍රභාකරන් වැඩ පටන් ගත්තා. හැබැයි ඉතින් මමත් ඒක ඉවර කරේ අන්තිමට අර බල්ලෙක් වගේ හතර ගාතේ දාලා නන්දි කඩාල් කලපුවේ උස්සගෙන ආවා. ඒ තත්ත්වයට ගේන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඕන දෙයකට සූදානම් පුළුවන් චරිතයක්. හැබැයි මට අවශ්‍ය ජනතාවට වැඩ කරන්න.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa met the locals of Polpitigama Kurunagala at the Valagambapura Vidyalaya in Irudeniyaya today. The human-elephant conflict is the main problem faced by those residing in Polpitigama.
My name is Herath. During the previous paddy season, elephants encroached on our paddy fields. When we called the wildlife department, officials who answered the phone told us that they didn't have vehicles to come to the site. 5 houses were damaged by the wild elephants.
අපි දැන් පරම්පරා තුනක් ගෙවිලා ඉවරයි. නමුත් අපිට ඒ ඉඩම් වලට ඔප්පුවකුත් නැහැ. අනිත් එක තමයි අහස්තියෙන් ගොවිතැන් කරන්නේ. මට වතුර පහසුවක් සහ අපේ ඉඩම් වලට ඔප්පු ලබා දෙන්න කියලා ඉඳලා මම යනවා ඉල්ලනවා.
ඔප්පු දෙනවා. ඇමතුමා ඉන්නවා ඇමතුමා බාර ගන්නවා.
We will provide land deeds to everyone. The minister will ensure that everyone receives land deeds. We will appoint a 5-member committee headed by the district secretary to monitor the progress of what was discussed today. Officials attached to the wildlife, irrigation, water supply and land departments should be included in this committee.
Problems pertaining to the local road system were also discussed during the meeting.
Since the road is wide, we will develop roads and all by roads as well. This project has been given to Maga Engineering. We will keep our promise. When I visited this area some time ago, locals claimed that holding such meetings was futile. The public has no faith in politicians. I would like to make a request from our Prime Minister to establish an economic centre in Polpitigama so that locals in this area do not have to travel to Dambulla to sell their produce.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa called on the Mahanayaka Theras of the Askiri and Malvatu chapters of the Siam sect and the Bishop of Kandy Diocese today. The opposition leader first visited the Mahanayaka Thera of the Malvatu Viharaya and then called on the Mahanayaka Thera of the Askiri Viharaya. He then met with the Bishop of the Kandy Diocese, Joseph Vianney Fernando, in Katugastota thereafter.
6.9 million people voted for this government to conserve the environment and uplift the ecosystem while safeguarding the natural resources. However, their actions have shown that the current government is destroying forests and other environmentally sensitive areas instead of protecting and developing them. As a party, we believe that the provincial council elections should be conducted according to the system that prevails from 88. When speaking about elections, everyone must genuinely think if it is a suitable time to hold elections or not. I believe that elections should be held while protecting the lives of the people. We like elections. We are always ready to face them. But it is important to think if it is wise to hold elections at a time like this.
The opposition leader also inspected the wall that had collapsed in the vicinity of the Sri Vishnu Devalaya at the premises of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic yesterday.
A memorial that is being built at the Jaffna University was demolished last evening. This is a report on the situation that arose following the incident.
The construction of the Mullawai Kal Memorial was launched by the Students' Union of the Jaffna University at the premises of the institution in 2018. The memorial was being built in remembrance of the people and students who died in the Mullawai Kal area. Students protested against steps that were taken to demolish the memorial last evening. University alumni, the general public, and political activists attempted to enter the premises of the university, seeking a meeting with the Vice-Chancellor. Police and the Special Task Force personnel were deployed for security in the area. The group that gathered outside the university yesterday remained until this morning before being notified by the police that they would be subjected to PCR tests if the gathering continues. Some university students began a fast, while many individuals dispersed following the announcement given by the police. The Jaffna University's Vice-Chancellor, Professor S. Sirisatkunaraja, told Newsfirst that instructions had been issued on multiple occasions to demolish the memorial that was partly built. The Vice-Chancellor added that the memorial was being constructed without approval and that such structures cannot be built at universities. University Grants Commission Chairman Professor Sampath Amaratunga commented on the incident today.
දැනට විශ්වවිද්‍යාල පද්ධතියේ අධ්‍යාපනය හදාරන දරුවෝ යුද්ධය
Students who are currently in universities were between the ages of 9 and 11 when the war came to an end in the country. Regardless of whether they are from the Tamil, Buddhist or Muslim communities, they are the children of Sri Lanka. Therefore, we are happy to know that 1,500 Buddhist students are studying at the Jaffna University. At the same time, between 600 and 700 Tamil students from the northern and eastern provinces are studying at universities in the south. We need to ensure that the children are not divided. To ensure that our past experiences do not occur again, we must maintain unity and peace among students.
සාධකයේ තමයි මේ දරුවෝ අතර තියෙන සමගිය සමාදානය.
Journalists raised questions on the incident from Minister Nama Rajapaksa in Polonnaruwa today.
I believe that a report must be sought on the incident. We have a good cabinet minister. He will inquire into the matter and do the needful. We will not allow racism to emerge in this country. We wish to tell the people that there are laws and a framework in this country. Health mechanisms are being adopted as well. Therefore, do not interpret these as a racist incident. The government will remain committed to developing the country by treating citizens of all communities equally.
The Chief Medical Officer of the Colombo Municipal Council, Ruwan Vijay Muniz, said that there is a decline in the number of COVID-19 patients identified in the Colombo Municipal Council jurisdiction. However, several areas within the limits of the Municipal Council jurisdiction continue to remain isolated.
Jintupitia in Colombo 13 has been under isolation since the 21st of October last year.
මේ ජින්දුපිටි පළාතේ ලොක්ඩවුන් කරලා මාස දෙකකට වැඩි. මේ ඉන්න ජනතාව දවසෙන් දවසට අම්බු කරලා කන අය ඉන්නේ. සිවිල් දුවන අය, නාට්‍යමිලා, පොඩි ළමයි ඉන්නවා, බබාලා ඉන්නවා, කිරිපෙකටක් කරේ ගන්න හරි අමාරුවෙන් ඉන්නේ.
The Grand Pass police jurisdiction has been placed under isolation since the 21st of October last year.
අපිට කිසිම දෙයක් කරගන්න විදියකුත් නැහැ. අපිට යන්න යන්න විදියක් නැහැ. පාරවල් වාගන්න මේ බලන්නක මමතනම පාරවල් වල අපේ පාරවල් වාලා. කෙල් 50 කීයක් හොයන්නද මාත්‍ය ඉස්සු ඇදිලා ඉන්නේ. අපිට කිසිම දෙයක් ගෙවා ගන්න විදියක් නැහැ. මොනවත් කරන්න විදියකුත් නැහැ. අපි මේ විනාශකාරී වෙන් අපිට ලිවිං වල විනාශකාරී වෙන් කෑ ගන්න. උන් පොලි දානවා එයින්. කරගන්න දෙයක් නැහැ මාත්‍ය.
Meanwhile, the 100 Muhandiram ED Dabare Road in Narahempita has also been isolated since 31st of December last year. In addition, 255 Torrington Avenue has been isolated since the 27th of December. Meanwhile, the Veluwana Road in Dematagoda has been under isolation since the 27th of December, while Nazir Vatta in Vellavatta was isolated on the 17th of December last year. The Health Bureau of the Colombo Municipal Council said that St. Andrews Road in Modara was also isolated.
The number of COVID-19 patients identified has dropped to 1/4. We used to identify around 375 to 400 cases daily. However, now we are only detecting 90 to 100 cases. We have successfully curbed the spread of the virus. This does not mean that we are out of danger. It is because the majority of the patients are asymptomatic.
During an event in Matale today, Chief of Defence Staff and Commander of the Army, General Shavendra Silva, said measures are currently in place to further expand the repatriation program for Sri Lankans overseas and to increase the capacity and facilities at quarantine centres.
During the past few weeks, there was a reduction in the number of Sri Lankans repatriated from overseas. This was mainly due to the limitations we faced in the process of providing treatment to those under medical supervision at quarantine centres. We were compelled to convert a large number of quarantine centres into immediate treatment centres. Currently, more than 5,000 COVID-19 patients are receiving treatment at such facilities. This was the main reason to restrict the number of repatriates. Quarantining at hotels is not compulsory. However, we invite such individuals to undergo the quarantine process at quarantine centres run by the Sri Lanka Army. President Rajapaksa has also issued special instructions in this regard. Steps are currently underway to further expand the repatriation program in place for Sri Lankans overseas and to increase the capacity and facilities at quarantine centres.
Heavy attention has been drawn to Ukraine locally due to Sri Lanka's pilot tourism project involving Ukrainian tourists. Meanwhile, Ukraine entered a 17-day national lockdown with effect from yesterday. Ukraine's number of COVID-19 cases has been on the rise since November last year. Last month, Ukrainian government had decided to tighten COVID-19 control measures from January to stem the spread of the virus. Official figures show that Ukraine had recorded at least 11,490 COVID-19 cases on the 24th of December last year. The tally has crossed the 1 million mark at present.
Another group of Ukrainian tourists is scheduled to arrive in the island. In my view, the Minister of Tourism and the relevant authorities should decide on whether Sri Lanka should continue to bring more tourists from Ukraine at a time Ukraine has entered a nationwide lockdown. Thus far, only tourists from the United Kingdom have been banned from entering Sri Lanka. Tourists from any other country are permitted to visit Sri Lanka under the pilot project that will continue until the 21st of this month. Thereafter, we plan on reopening our airports for commercial flights. Anyone can visit the country adhering to the health guidelines that have been formulated by the Health Ministry and the COVID-19 committees of Sri Lanka together with the World Health Organization. No, there is no lockdown in place. Schools in Ukraine have been closed and public gatherings have been banned in Ukraine. However, they have not entered a complete lockdown. There are many countries that have implemented similar measures without entering a complete lockdown. We are not against the reopening of airports for tourists complying with health guidelines. But from where are these tourists being brought down? And who is behind the entire process? Udanga Weeratunga. Who is Udanga Weeratunga? He was a former ambassador of Sri Lanka who was forced to hide in Ukraine because of a red notice. Ukraine has the highest number of quarantine centers in the world. Yesterday, the Ukrainian government announced that the country will enter a nationwide lockdown. Ukraine is also the poorest country in Europe, burdened with debt and is not economically stable. Udanga Weeratunga is a racketeer. Accommodation for these tourists has been provided at hotels privately owned by him. Though they speak of tourism revival, the poorest man or the locals in the village will not benefit from this initiative. This is nothing but a racket.
State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana has said that the COVID-19 tonic developed by the indigenous medical practitioner Dhammika Bandara has been sent for clinical trials.
A committee has been appointed to test the product. We have allowed a team of medical professors at local universities to carry out the relevant trials. We will uncover the positives and negatives of the product based on the committee's recommendations.
While distributing the tonic among the people, indigenous medical practitioner Dhammika Bandara had said that the product had been tested at the Watupitiwala District Hospital. Reports suggest that the medical officer of the public health unit at the hospital had tested the portion at that time. But remarks made by State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumana indicate that the process is still undergoing medical trials. This begs the question as to whether the tonic had been offered to the people without a clinical test.
News First. The truth as it is.
We're crossing over for a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more news.
Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
3 Sri Lankan citizens have been charged with terrorism offences. The criminal case filed last year in the US District Court in Los Angeles is the result of a nearly 2-year investigation by the FBI together with Sri Lankan authorities.
Muhammad Naufar, Muhammad Anwar, Muhammad Rizkan and Ahmad Milhan Hayatum Muhammad have been charged with terrorism offences including conspiring to provide material support to a designated foreign terrorist organisation named ISIS. According to a statement by the US Justice Department, the 3 men were part of a group of ISIS supporters which called itself ISIS in Sri Lanka. One of the 5 US citizens killed was a Department of Commerce employee who had travelled to Sri Lanka on official business. Assistant Attorney General of National Security John C. Demers said they fully support the Sri Lankan investigation and prosecution of these terrorists. US Attorney for the Central District of California Nick Hanna said, and I quote, "The United States remains confident in the Sri Lankan authorities' ability to bring the perpetrators to justice," unquote. Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles field office, Christy K. Johnson, said, "For decades and particularly since 9/11, the FBI has deployed agents to various parts of the world to establish an investigative foothold and to liaison with local counterparts with a shared goal of combating terror globally."
State Minister Vidura Wickramanayake has said that excavations will take place at the Bodhi Rajarama temple in Haburana after gazetting it as an archaeological site. He made these remarks during a visit to the temple yesterday.
State Minister Vidura Wickramanayake inquired into the history of the Bodhi Rajarama temple in Hiriwaduna during a visit to the area yesterday.
Were you there during the period of King Dutugamunu? We came here to inquire about the problem. Don't respond childishly to my questions. I asked the Director General to dispatch an officer who has an understanding of the matter. If there is a shortcoming, all of you are responsible for it. We are preserving this for the country's future. There is a problem here. The emergence of the belief that Lord Buddha had died here has paved the way for a new historic claim. Experts are providing numerous interpretations. This is when this issue arose. Therefore, there is a problem given that 2 groups of Buddhists are at loggerheads. We need an answer to whether Lord Buddha had died here or in India. The archaeological department must investigate this and prove the claims on the historical importance of this site. We will not oppose the claims if there is evidence to show that Lord Buddha had died here, but the claims must be substantiated. Against such a backdrop, we must prevent the Buddhists from clashing against each other. We know the group that is behind you. Some individuals at this place share the viewpoint of that group. They believe that Lord Buddha had died here.
Tensions arose after a person who accompanied the minister began to offer lottery tickets among residents as they attempted to express their views on the area. The group that gathered at the temple was dispersed with the assistance of the police.
News First. The truth as it is.
We're crossing over for a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more news.
Struggling to find reliable plumbers, electricians, gardeners and other service providers? Bellboys got you covered.
Welcome back. Still in your local news, residents of Badagiriya in Hambantota took to the streets today.
Residents of Bandaragiriya in Hambantota staged a protest against a tavern that was recently constructed in the area. The protesters requested the tavern to be closed.
අපිට තබෑරුම් මෙපා අපේ මේ අලිවටක් අපේ අලි ප්‍රශ්න අපේ ගමේ ප්‍රශ්න ටික විසඳෙන්න කියලා තමයි අපි ඔබතුමාගෙන් කරනවා ඉල්ලා සිටින්නේ.
පෙට්‍රෝ බෝතලේ හොරකම් කරගෙන මගේ කඩේට දීලා වෙලා අරක්කු බොන්න රුපියල් 100 අරන් ගියේ. මේ ඊයේ පෙරේද වැඩි දවසක් නේ ගියේ සතියේ බ්‍රහස්පතින්දා.
The protesters claimed that a 27-year-old individual was killed during a conflict that occurred after a few days the tavern was opened. A tense situation arose when the police arrived at the location. According to our correspondents, the protesters said they would resume the protest if the problem is not solved.
Dr. Palitha Abekon has been appointed as the World Health Organization Director General's Special Envoy to coordinate global response to COVID-19.
The WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom confirmed on his official Twitter account that Dr. Palitha Abekon has been appointed. The WHO chief noted, and I quote, "Your experience in building health systems and workforces to protect people against infectious diseases across Southeast Asia will be vital as we act together against the pandemic." End quote. The Director General has appointed several special envoys on COVID-19 to provide strategic advice and high-level political advocacy and engagement in different parts of the world. In his long career in the WHO, Dr. Abekon served as the Health Workforce Advisor in Nepal, where he helped to set up Institution of Medicine, the country's first medical school, and later in Indonesia, where he helped establish the Consortium of Health Sciences and 5 new schools of public health. Subsequently, Dr. Abekon worked as the WHO Southeast Asia Regional Advisor on Human Resources and later was the Director of Health Systems Development. He also served as the WHO representatives to India and led India's polio eradication effort.
After wrapping up its tour of South Africa, the Sri Lanka cricket team arrived at the Matale International Airport last night.
South Africa managed to win the Test match series against Sri Lanka 2-0. According to our correspondent, upon returning to the island, the Sri Lanka cricket team underwent a medical examination. We were unable to reach where we wanted to due to injuries. We are satisfied with the performance of the new players. With the new players, we hope to play well in the upcoming England tour. We were not satisfied. We hope to keep a few new players in the squad for every series, because we have to give them new experience. Coach Mickey Arthur, the team and I hope to do that. We played an international match after 9 months. We had a strong intention of doing that. But I think it is during the match I realized how difficult it is. Because when we are playing a test series, we were stuck either on the field or in the rooms. It is difficult to build the mindset of the players. It is difficult to get rid of the mindset after losing in a situation like this. Meanwhile, the Test match series between Sri Lanka and England will commence on the 14th at the Galle International Cricket Stadium. The Test match series between the two countries includes 2 matches.
And that's the wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Don't forget to log on to our award-winning website www.newsfirst.lk for more of the latest updates. Thank you very much for watching News First. Good night and take care.